When Tanner gets here, I'm gonna be like,
is he coming?
I don't think he is. I don't think he is. Which is fine. You know, Tanner.
I was ready to talk some Bong Joon-ho with him. I watched Snowpiercer.
Oh.
Over last week.
Today.
Force Vision, so.
Well, today's only Force Vision, so.
I could have talked to you.
We can talk next week. We can talk some Bong Joon-ho.
Bong Joon-ho.
But yeah, Tanner obviously, he's got a lot of stuff on his plate right now with the moving in with the girlfriend.
Yeah.
Adjusting to life over there. So he's just down the road though. So.
Literally. Oh, here you go. Yeah, hit that.
Nope.
No, there you go.
There you go.
Purple.
Oh.
Ooh.
Wait, you can.
I have it.
Is it a Philips Hue?
It's not a Hue. It's like the cheap version.
Oh. Are you gonna be on this pod with us?
I'll probably beyond what I probably see off the side.
That's all right.
Because I was gonna say, I could just sit right next to Max on the same couch.
All three of us just sitting next to each other doing this podcast.
You have to have this couch in view.
But I do like this couch. It's nice and comfy on this.
It is.
I'm a lounging couch on Sundays.
Yeah, it does the trick, my friend.
The only thing that would make this better if we had some coffee.
No, coffee maker anymore. Mine broke. This lady bought me one, and then she took it with her.
Oh boy.
Which is fine. I never made fucking coffee here anyway.
Oh,
well, listeners, let's start a GoFundMe to get Jordan a new coffee maker.
$30.
If we raise $20 to $30 or even $8 for one at Savers, we can make this happen. But
I need an espresso machine, please.
That one you just we go fund you an entire coffee bar.
Ooh, there we go. I like this.
Literally,
guys, let's get it done.
Espresso with the cream whipper or steamer, coffee machine,
Cream whipper.
everything you could ever want. But yeah.
What you drinking there, Jay?
It's a Boulevard Wheat. If anyone would like a beer, there is 1 or 2 wheats left and a couple Space Campers. I think a 6-pack. And some Hardway double IPAs. From Martin City.
That is tempting.
You want one?
I don't know, because I don't want to weaken my immune system with the coronavirus going around. I think I'm good for now.
I'm gonna pass, Jay. I'm gonna pass on this one. Though we're long overdue to try and do a drunk Cinemaxtic episode. At some point we'll have to try and make that happen.
Yeah.
But
we did a drunk Force Vision in
were we drunk?
Chicago.
Oh, we were drunk then. Yeah, we did do a drunk Force Vision. We
in the hotel room.
We had bought like $5, $10 beers at that place, and we made every last drop count. So, but and then we drank more in the hotel room, which was also fun.
So, it was. We had to start taking from the fridge, just because we ran out.
Oh, and those beers were expensive too. Nothing about that trip was cheap. But I can't wait for Anaheim though.
Anaheim's gonna be awesome.
It's gonna be a great time.
Is that where it's at this year, or whenever the next time it is?
It is
every 4?
August 27th.
Yeah, weekend of August 27th in Anaheim. So it's gonna be a blast.
Gonna go out early, go to LA.
Spend a couple days in LA. That's the game plan, or a day and a half in LA, and then we're driving to Anaheim Thursday morning when the event begins, and we'll be there Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So
nice.
We've got it all sorted and situated. It's going to be a blast.
Nice.
But without further ado, let's go ahead and just get this podcast on the road. On today's episode, we're going to be discussing Clooney Boy Palps. Apparently, that is now canon. Was confirmed as
Oh my god, I was so confused.
George
Clooney.
Clooney, the Palpatine himself. We'll be talking about that new canonized theory, or theory that was canonized. We'll also talk about the reveal of Project Luminous, which has now been titled The High Republic. That's right, Star Wars The High Republic. And we'll be talking a few other things that we saw in headlines this week. So without further ado, let's dive in. This is the Force Vision Podcast.
Hey, I was really wondering what the other stuff was referring to.
Other stuff is probably in whatever we wanted to talk about.
Oh shit!
Nothing really
Just an
outside of that.
platform right there.
I wanted to lead off though with something I haven't been watching, but I know you have. I don't know if you've been watching the new episodes, but Tim, any thoughts on the Clone Wars and the recent releases on Disney Plus?
Well, I'm glad you asked. I actually have watched the episodes, so I didn't want to hold off. Drew wanted to wait until more episodes came out so we could binge it, but I was like, yeah, I'm just gonna go and watch it. It's pretty good. The animation quality is a lot better than it was because it's been about 5-6 years since
Is
the
it
last
still the
season
same
came
style?
out. Yeah, still the same
Okay.
style, same voice actors and all of that. So I mean, we haven't really dove too deep into the season yet, so nothing's really taken off. But it's pretty interesting. I mean, it's just nice to have more content and just seeing all those people. Come back and continue the story. I'm just excited to see where it's going to go, specifically with it tying into Revenge of the Sith, and eventually, having that overlap, introducing some characters from Rebels, and revisiting, Mandalore with Ahsoka and Darth Maul.
There was a really funny bit. Someone took a screenshot it wasn't even a screenshot. Like, I think official Star Wars website posted a picture of like Anakin and Padme, and he's talking to Padme over hologram.
Yeah.
And a clearly early trimester pregnant Padme is talking to Anakin, and the caption that like Star Wars put on this is, an oblivious young Skywalker does not realize Padme is already pregnant. And someone took a screenshot of that and posted on Twitter and said, he's an idiot, but he's our idiot. And I just started laughing. Like, she clearly has a baby bump, but maybe Anakin's just like, you know what? Hey, I like my girls a little thick. I'm not gonna comment on this. A little bit in the midsection is what I like. A little belly.
She's been feasting on Coruscant.
It could be. I mean, that's what he was
Gone to
thinking.
the local pizza street.
He's like, listen, it's
There we go.
wartime.
Yeah.
Little Coruscant Pizza Street?
Yep.
Oh yeah.
You know, he's like, it's wartime.
Alfredo cheese pizza.
Oh, there we go.
We're in
Little
war times right
cinnamon,
now.
Dessert,
A little stressful.
breadstick thingy, whatever it is.
All you can eat ice cream machine. Oh boy.
Hell yeah.
Oh, your face, Max.
Mm.
You're not a fan of Pizza Street?
Oh, no. I like Pizza Street once every 8 years.
You don't like shitting yourself uncontrollably?
See,
I mean, that's pretty much how I am with Pizza Street.
being at Pizza Street, it's good. Afterwards, it's bad.
Yes.
It's very
I
bad.
don't think anyone has ever left Pizza Street that is above the age of 5 and gone, you know what, I'm glad I ate that.
I do.
You know what?
The Heffernan boys.
Yeah.
They thoroughly loved the Pizza Street.
Yeah.
And yeah, I remember going there often.
Oh, God. I need to throw these shoes away.
Like, how often is often?
That's bad.
I don't know, more than-
I just like put my fingers in there and I was like, you know what? I wonder if my shoes have been like, I was smelling this weird smell and I did a little sniff of my fingies and I was like, oh my God,
Shoes.
I need to get something for that. But yeah, what were you saying about Pizza Street, Jay?
Probably, I don't know, quite often, maybe like once every 2 weeks. Like pretty.
Are you
They
serious?
they recommended it.
Oh, I
quite
thought
a
you said
bit.
you were going to
Oh
Pizza
no
Street
no no
once
no
every 2
no
weeks.
no no
I'm
no.
like,
Fuck that.
I was like,
I
what?
know my limits of Pizza Street.
I was like, oh my God, man.
Maybe once a 2 years.
Yeah.
Now that I'm
Exactly.
older,
It
probably
takes
never.
it takes a while for you to recover.
Dude, honestly, the last time I went to Pizza Street, I think I was a junior or senior in high school, and then we have a large gaps between them. Because, like I said, like I leave there and I'm like, that was a terrible decision, and I'm like, what else were you expecting? You just ate 3 dishes of soft serve ice cream with bacon, potato pizza and macaroni pizza, and like literally just endless amounts and. Of course, you're gonna feel like garbage, and then you go to the arcade and you sweat up a storm playing, that shitty. No, that's not shitty, but that one game where you have the 2 blue and red pistols and you're firing at people and you're working up a sweat on the Papa Shot, and the next thing you know, you're creating a cauldron inside yourself that's just bubbling and ready to explode.
Yes,
Yep,
sounds about right.
100%.
But Clone
God,
Wars
I
is
miss
going
that
good.
place. Yeah, actually, yeah, it's pretty good.
How many episodes is there out now?
So there's only 2. Actually, someone told me there's a third one that was released today or last night. I don't know if it has been released, but I've only seen 2 so far. But again, we haven't really gotten too far, so it's just kind of halfway through the current arc they're doing. So they're doing a Clone Troopers focused arc and then some other arc, and then the end's going to be like Mandalore with Ahsoka and Darth Maul. So it'll be interesting.
Well, I'll be damned. Yeah, that's it sounds interesting. I have yet to finish the Clone Wars. I started it, kind of beat around the bush. I mean, it won't take me long at all to catch up. So I'll probably get around to doing that at some point.
When did you start it up?
Oh man,
4 years ago.
4 years ago.
I mean, I probably legit. I don't know.
Probably.
Probably legit tried to start watching it like mid-January and fell off after I was like,
It's it's tough. I don't know if it's as good as Rebels. I like Rebels because it introduces new characters. So I mean, so does Clone Wars, but it's more focused around new characters, and it feels like a different story overall.
yeah.
While with Clone Wars, you kind of know what to expect a little bit. There's some surprises and
Yeah, I just hear in like
whatnot,
Clone
but-
Wars, like the main reason I wanted to watch is like I know apparently there's like a Darth Bane arc in Clone Wars or something like that with Yoda.
you want me to be honest with you?
Yeah.
Darth Bane's probably in it for 30 seconds.
Oh my god.
Really?
It's a Yoda arc where he goes to Malachor, which used to be Korriban.
Mm.
And so his spirit like shows up for 30 seconds and talks to Yoda. That's about it. But I will say that may be my favorite episode of the entire series. It's either the second or last episode of season 6.
Okay. See, there's like things that maybe I should just like start from. Like Drew says, season 3 on is really good. I think sometimes I'm wondering maybe I should just
Yeah.
start from there.
It's when they really start to pick things up. And I mean, you also need that character development with the first 2 seasons, because by the 3rd season, you kind of have an idea of who the characters are, and you start to care for them, whatnot. So I wouldn't skip the first 2 seasons, but just temper your expectations and understand that they're not going to be the best quality. And what's really weird is you told me to watch in chronological order. The like very first episode in chronological order, like the first episode of the first season, is supposed to be part of like season 3 or season 4 chronologically, which makes no sense.
Yeah.
And so like Max had told me to do it, and I looked at the list, and the first 4 episodes were from other seasons, but then everything out afterwards from what I saw was in order they're released in the season.
Pretty
So I'm
much
like,
in
oh,
order.
it's probably not a huge deal. But then I got to like season 2 and 3. I'm like, what the hell is going on? I'm like, that character literally died 10 episodes ago, and now he's just walking around like nothing happened. So I guess for any listeners out there who haven't started it, find the chronological order and and watch it in that order, because then it's going to make a lot more sense, and it'll be a much better viewing. You won't get confused.
Yeah, I don't understand why they did that. It makes no sense to me. Like
Yeah.
literally, if you look at the list, I mean, it jumps around pretty much all over the place to like season 3 or 4. Like there's like weird episodes that mix in. Like you could like go 18 episodes straight from like season 5. You could start or like season 4. You could start, and then like you go like 20 episodes in, and then it's like random episode from season 2 you need to watch right now to make the next episode
Yeah.
make sense. It's like
Like I could get it if it was like a prequel type of thing where they had an arc. It's like, this is a flashback to an event that already
Yeah.
passed. But it's like one-off episodes that just does not really fit. And I'm just like, what is going on? So,
yeah, it's very strange.
but yeah, I mean, it's good. Again, highly recommend watching it. You haven't really missed much in season 7 yet, so you can hold off on that and watch Rebels as well.
All right. Well, yeah. Well, I'm definitely gonna look into Clone Wars and see. I need it. Like I said, I need to go through it again. It's not that long of a watch. Like each episode's like 19, 20 minutes it seems. So I can blow through it pretty quick. But yeah. Well, I'll catch up on it at some point. Let you know what I feel. But I'm glad Clone Wars is going well. That is on Disney Plus. It is the last season. So exciting stuff if you're a Star Wars fan. If you want to get into something new while you wait for the next movies and whatnot. Moving on to the next topic. So at some con of some kind, I can't remember what it was, they released or started selling to the public only there the novelized version of The Rise of Skywalker. And in this book, a lot of things became clearer, whether by intent of J.J. Abrams or intent of the I don't know, of Disney or something, because some of these decisions that happen in this novelization don't really reflect. Well, they definitely don't reflect what the movie was trying to tell us in some cases. So you wonder either, okay, was this based off JJ's original script and they pulled from it to kind of round out the story, or was this just like, hey, we need to try and clear some things up from this movie, and let's do it in the novel? It seems like that's kind of, I mean, I don't know, probably I would say maybe 1% of the Rise of Skywalker's audience is going to go buy and read the novelization.
Yeah.
So that seems a little absurd to me. But the novelization is canon. It is canon. It is like what actually technically happened in the universe. So I wanted to touch on some of those topics. One of them being that it's confirmed that Palpatine is a clone in the Rise of Skywalker. He is not a rescued body from the Death Star explosion. He didn't survive the Death Star explosion. He literally is a clone. That in the novel it mentions Kylo Ren sees all these vials and things being pumped into him, and Kylo recognizes it from his studies and things that he's learned that it's from the Clone Wars. And I believe the line is in the novelization, "You're a clone," and Palpatine replies, "More than a clone, less than a man," is the reply. In the movie, there's one line by Dominic Monaghan that says something like
They're talking about like how is Palpatine back, and he says something about
like
cloning
yeah,
technology.
he said like Sith cloning dark magic or something like that is what he says. He says something like that, but it's said in such a way that it's like, oh, okay, yeah, maybe that's what it is, or it just sounds like he's hysterical trying to come up with a reason why. No, he wasn't hysterical, but just trying to come up with a reason why Palpatine would be alive, but the movie doesn't really focus on that or confirm that's the reason why he's alive. So, for me as a moviegoer, I thought for sure it was just the undead body of Palpatine. It wasn't a clone. It was just his what was remaining of his body after the explosion, which was remarkably a lot for being blown up in the middle of a giant moon-sized space station.
Mhm.
But that's what I thought. But now it is confirmed he was a clone, and I wanted to know what your thoughts were on that, Tim.
Yes. I'm okay with him being a clone, but I don't like how they actually released the information. I think it's dumb that not only do you conclude an entire saga of 9 movies and not include that, and then release something afterwards saying, "Hey, here's everything we didn't mention in the movie that clears up our plot holes that we left wide open." I think it's one, either extremely sloppy or they were forced to fit way too much into one movie, which is something we've already discussed, that this could have easily been 2 different movies. But I mean, there's multiple things, the Palpatine being the clone thing. And then I believe later on, after Ben actually dies, doesn't he come back and talk to Rey as a ghost? I believe
he says something in her head or something like that. Like,
talks to
speaks
her.
to
It's
her.
like, why not include that in the movie?
Yeah.
Which, there's a lot of theories out there that, he wasn't originally supposed to die.
Mm-hmm.
And people think that it was like a last second write-off and they just scrubbed him from the film, which is something else, I guess, that could play into part as to why they're clearing that or adding that into the novelization. But I don't know. I think it's dumb because, as you said, 1% of the fans who went and saw the movie are probably going to read that. And I don't think that's fair for, average fans who don't go out to read all of those other books that they release and comics and things like that and have absolutely no idea.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I think the most annoying thing was that could have been answered with one line. I mean, literally, the book
Yeah.
explains it one line.
And
Every fan, every person who went and saw The Rise of Skywalker knows what a clone is in the Star Wars universe. Everyone does.
right.
It literally would have taken that line from the novelization or just something simple, that Kylo recognizing like I've seen this technology before. You're a clone.
Yeah.
And he's like you're weak and like mocking him a little bit or something. Literally could have just one line. I'm no
Yeah.
screenwriter, but like one line, you put that in there and it explains why he's alive and boom, there we go.
And I think it would have been better too, because it mentioned that Palpatine's body was about to give up and he'd die or something like that. And I think that would have been nice to get a perspective from him, instead of him just being there and just sitting back and not doing anything. That there's actually time that he had to fight against, and so he started to force things to come together. But I just don't understand, because with the Avengers, they more than happily made it longer than 3 hours. I don't know why Star Wars and J.J. Abrams just didn't push it to be over 3 hours to include things like this.
Yeah, I don't know if it was just because of the brand and like the brand is that it's not. And I mean, yeah, I agree. Like the brand is that it's there are these films that get what need to be said in like a couple hours, but it's still the longest movie in the Star Wars the Skywalker saga, and it's the longest Star Wars movie period, I believe. And yeah, there's no reason not to do that. I mean, Lord of the Rings, every movie was about 3 hours long, and Endgame, like you said, was 3 hours long. Like, let JJ tell the story he needs to tell. And mostly, you got to recognize, again, as we've talked about this endlessly before, it's just like they didn't plan this trilogy, and now you're making one person decide how this needs to all wrap up, and they have to tie in all these things from different storylines. Give him the chance to be able to do that. Not to say anything needs fixing, but let him tell the story that makes everything a little more cohesive. So yeah, and then obviously you get those moments where you get some breathers between scenes, maybe some extra dialogue. So yeah, I don't know why they didn't want to put in the extra 20 minutes. Everyone would have seen it, would have made the exact same amount of money. No doubt.
Mm-hmm.
So it was that it is a weird decision, but yeah, back at that novelization, I'm still curious. Were these JJ's ideas, or were these pulled from the script, or was this Disney trying to do some course correcting after seeing the movie? I'm like, okay, these are legitimate complaints. Let's make this happen, and correcting a couple of things.
Yeah,
I don't know, and I don't know if we'll ever find out. I mean, maybe some reporter will ask JJ about it, and maybe he'll be honest with him, or maybe he'll just be like, yeah. That was just something Disney did outside the movie. It's
and kind of going, I guess, a little off of that, but I don't know if we're going to talk about this later, but them declaring that the Blu-ray version of the release is not going to have any deleted scenes either. It's just going to be the movie.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah,
which I also think is odd. It's like they're trying to hide something.
Have they had deleted scenes in the past too?
Yeah,
the new ones.
The Last Jedi. Yeah, the Last Jedi. There was. I don't know if they released it with the Blu-ray, but
I don't know if
out.
they did with Force Awakens.
Force Awakens, there was a couple scenes from Force Awakens, and yeah, there was with the Last Jedi, because wasn't there a? I know for a fact there was that scene out there of her running to the.
Oh yeah, because Luke had the 3 lessons, and
the third lesson they cut out of the movie.
Yeah.
That third lesson, or the second lesson, or whatever it would have been, that was her going to the caretakers who she thought were being attacked, and like her running across the water and stuff. So there were deleted scenes in the previous 2, I believe, but yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's because the Rise of Skywalker's deleted scenes are like so crucial to the plot that it's like, oh, if we show these, they're like, why didn't you have this actually in the movie?
Yeah.
Whereas like those other ones, you're like, okay, they're cut. I mean, they're just deleted scenes. It's a typical deleted scene is something like, okay, I can see why they deleted that. Or yeah, that would have been cool in the movie, but it's no big deal. With the Rise of Skywalker, it's like, oh, oof, this completely changes the whole dang story. Like for instance, the rumor out there is there's this character named the Eye of Webbish Bog, and he resides on Mustafar, which, by the way, in the movie we're not told the planet Kylo is on is Mustafar for some reason
until the novelization.
So we find out that that's Mustafar, and Kylo has to confront a character whose name is the Eye of Webbish Bog, and it's like a spider-like
2020 vision.
spider-like alien creature, like who's crawling over the head of what looks like a giant alien baby. And this sounds so weird.
It does.
And he's like, he tells Kylo he has to like confront something or, become who he truly is meant to be. And it's, I have no idea. I haven't really looked into this, but there's concept art for it. And apparently there's a still image of it that is legit a still image, not concept art of the scene that will probably never be released. And one of our buddies at work, Zach, is like, "Oh man, I wish they would have included that." But for me, I'm like, I have absolutely no idea what that adds to the story. Like, what is this weird creature that appears for just?
It would just feel like
they.
they just threw it in there for no reason.
Yeah. So, that's a good point, Tim. The deleted scenes thing is bothering me. I mean, I wish they would. I wish they would go all in with that stuff. Director's cut, extended editions, all that. But I don't know. I guess it's just not on Star Wars brand. They just kind of, at least the new Star Wars brand, because George Lucas is, revising things all the time.
Yeah.
All the time. Any chance he could revise a previous movie, he's like, let's do that.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I don't know. It's
Also, they said in the novelization, too, that Rey and Kylo's kiss was not romantic. Or not that it wasn't meant to be romantic, but they clearly say in the subtext that it's Rey kissed Kylo. It was,
not romantic.
It was a kiss of gratitude.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know a lot of people that kiss for gratitude.
Oh man, yeah. Like
That's the only types of
the other
kisses
lady,
I've ever had.
the lady at Hy-Vee the other day helped me find the corn tortillas, and I just laid one right on her and
There
just
you go.
swept her up and just give her a big old smooch, and I was like, "This is a kiss of gratitude." and then I held her face like Rey held Ben's, and I was like, "This is just gratitude holding. This has nothing to do with romance." I don't know. I didn't buy that. And there was a couple things. I did say after the movie, I thought like that could have been interpreted as like, them just having a bunch of human emotions right now in a very powerful moment, and they kiss each other, and like, but you don't just simply kiss each other like that without any romance. So, I don't know if they're like walking that back because they didn't know if people liked the Reylo thing or not, but. I remember being stunned when I saw that in the theaters. I didn't see that coming from a mile away. When that happened, I was like, what?
Yeah.
Not in a bad way, but I was just like, what? Never saw that coming at all. That was like, I thought that was clearly a Tumblr fan theory. People just wanting to ship characters, as the kids would say. And I did not I was like, oh, that's just stupid. They would never do that. And sure enough, it happened.
I was all about that gratitude.
Hey,
I'll tell you what. When I saw that, I kissed my neighbor out of gratitude.
There you go.
Hey, nice.
How do you forget this, Max? You're the one sitting next to me.
You were his neighbor, goddammit.
Oh yeah, that's right.
He was
You did do
asleep
that.
during the second showing.
that's
That's
true.
what it
He
was.
was asleep.
I was passed out. But yeah.
What the hell's going on? Why you kiss? Oh, I see.
This is a kiss of
Out of
gratitude.
gratitude.
Yeah, but the whole novel isn't out yet. I'm sure there's gonna be other things that are revealed in it, but pretty much the whole thing will be spoiled by the time people have already spoiled those major parts in the book, so I'm sure the whole thing will be spoiled by the time it's supposed to come out, which I think is like March 20th or something, March 28th.
I think the 16th.
Oh, 16th. Okay.
I don't know.
March 20th is.
I don't know. I might pick it up and read it. Who knows? I've never read any of those novelizations before, but sometimes you can get some little tidbits in there that enhance your viewing the next time you watch it. Just because, but who knows if that's going to be the case with this one? But hopefully it fills in some gaps that people wanted, and let's be positive about it. Hopefully it answers questions or just makes the movie a better experience for people who already really liked it. So let's go with that. Okay, well, moving right along to our third big topic we had planned out for tonight, and that was the Project Luminous. Project Luminous. That was the title of the secret undergoing of something new at Disney and Lucasfilm, but we weren't sure what it was going to be. If it was going to be movies, video games, TV shows, strictly publishing. We weren't sure, but the rumor was it was going to focus on an age called the High Republic.
Mm-hmm.
And
when weed was legalized in the galaxy.
exactly right.
Mm.
How do you think they got their powers? So they announce that it is Project Luminous is a project called Star Wars: The High Republic. Something to say right up front is that this is strictly a publishing venture as of right now. There's been no plans to make a movie or video game or TV show based on the High Republic. They aren't saying it won't happen. They're just saying that this has been formulated, created, and begun as just publishing.
So I thought they had said that Project Luminous was going to tie into the next video game and the next.
Yeah, so that was just a
movie
rumor.
series.
That was just a rumor.
Damn rumors.
Yeah, a couple of the head people over there, actually the head person at the project, said, it's not that it won't happen. It absolutely could happen. They're more than welcome to play in that universe. But this is strictly, as of right now, 100% a publishing venture. So
Mhm.
comics and books is what we're going to get from this. And it's exploring an entirely unexplored as far as canon goes, since all that other stuff is now legends, like Old Republic and everything is still kind of legends. It is exploring an age of time that we've never gotten from Star Wars yet, and I'm very excited about it. The High Republic is a period of time in the Star Wars universe where the Jedi are at their peak, they're at their height of power. They have basically exterminated almost the entire Sith Order at this point of time in this era.
So like the Phantom Menace.
Exactly. This seems to happen a lot for them. What goes around comes around.
Yeah.
And they are expanding their reach in the galaxy to, setting up outposts and everything like that to, set up the Jedi Guard and, be protectors of the galaxy as they are. Until what is the big event of this whole project, which they're calling the Great Disaster. And we don't know what that is. But the Great Disaster happens and throws the galaxy into pandemonium of sorts. So yeah, we don't know what all that means until we actually get into the books and the comics. But from what they've said is that these comics and these books are going to be tied together. It's going to tell a story, one cohesive story of sorts, but from various different characters' points of view. So it's like, characters will cross over into different books, cross over to different comics, be mentioned in different areas, and they will be told in one unified way. They also say that they have a specified beginning and end for the story that they've formulated. Not to say there won't be spin-off stories or ways that universe is going to continue, but what Project Luminous is, they do have a thought out beginning and end, which is crazy considering the amount of work that must have been to think out all these comics, the storylines for all the comics and all the books that you're going to do. Which I guess they haven't even said anything about comics yet. Really, it's just been the books.
I thought they did.
Did they? Maybe they have.
I'm not sure.
But
I know they're making or they're gonna have writings for adults and kids as well, which is interesting.
Yeah, kids through adults, including young adult novels. One of the authors, Claudia Gray, apparently is fantastic. So yeah, that's basically what that is. But yeah, it's a curious thing. There's a lot of really cool concept art they put out there. They've been working on this for 4 to 5 years. And it's cool. It's like it's giving us a breath of fresh air in Star Wars. It's giving us new things, new ideas, and new ways to look at it. For instance, the Sith, right, Tim, are no longer the villains, at least in this story. The main villains are going to be called the Nihil, Nihil, who are described as space Vikings.
That's pretty rad.
Yeah,
I'm excited for that. But I mean, as you're saying, it's cool because it's a time that hasn't really been explored. So we get a bunch of new characters, and as they described them, it's going to be kind of a Knights of the Round Table type of thing, which I think is cool because they're kind of going into the whole King Arthur ordeal. And then didn't they say that the Jedis are basically going to be similar to just kind of old Western types of people, or they're just kind of patrolling the galaxy, just trying
Like
to go-
Rangers. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Which I think is pretty cool because it seems a little less organized than where we get it in Phantom Menace, but yet they're still at the height of their power, and it's gonna show us things that we haven't seen before. Because I think they also mentioned that you're gonna see the Force in new ways
Mm-hmm.
that we haven't seen in any of the movies.
Yep.
So, I at first I was a little skeptical, but that was more along the lines when I thought they're gonna do movies.
Yeah.
Alongside it, and I was like, well, this seems very similar to, the prequel trilogy, but the fact that they're only doing books, I like that because they're starting to expand the Star Wars universe outside of just movies and characters that we know. We're not getting more content between episodes 3 and 4 or characters existing between movies. So I'm excited about that. I think it's a step in the right direction, and hopefully will open up potentially new movies down
Yeah.
the road.
Exactly. And it's not, yeah, again, as I said, it's not to be discouraged that they didn't announce video games, TV, and movies. They're, building a universe here that's going to be rich and full of tons of new canon and characters and ideas that absolutely could translate to movies and TV shows and video games. And it might happen sooner rather than later too. You just never know how that's going to be. And again, I'm very excited about this. None of the books, the new books, have really interested me. Mostly because it's just like they're all stories that are leading to something that have been told. It's like this is the lead up book to the Rise of Skywalker. And it's like, do I really need to know what happens
Yeah,
between this the Last Jedi, and at least for this, it's like this is takes place in a whole 3 months before the Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah.
Like, do I need to
Like,
know what happens?
I read I read that book, the one between Last Jedi and Rise of Skywalker. And it was interesting, but absolutely nothing in that book was ever mentioned in the movie. So it's just a little story, little adventure that you get to follow along. But some of the main characters in that book weren't even on screen in the movie, or at least you would have no idea. And so it does feel disconnected because it's like, well, why did I spend all this time
Yeah.
reading about these people and this adventure that it's not even alluded to? Like, for example, in the book, you're mostly on Ryloth, which is where the Twi'leks,
Mhm.
live. I don't even think there's a Twi'lek in the movie at all.
Yeah.
So it's just it's not it just feels kind of like a waste of time. So that's what I'm excited about, having this connection between books where they're going to reference other characters and maybe other events that occurred. So kind of like a Marvel type of thing where you have those individual movies and then group
Bring 'em
encounters, and
Yeah.
they'll make references to things that happen in other books.
Yeah.
That's one of the main complaints people have about new canon, is that they do feel like it's disjointed. It doesn't it doesn't connect. And I mean, and a part of that I think is because the directors, they don't care. And it's not like I'm not blaming them for not caring.
Right.
It's just like, hey guys, I've watched the movies and I fell in love with the movies, but I'm not sitting at home reading all the books and stuff like that. I'm here to make this movie based off of what I know, which are these movies. And
Right.
so, like, if you're wanting to make decisions in your movie, like Rise of Skywalker, like, oh, you can't do that because there's a trilogy of books that came out after The Force Awakens that has this and this. And Jay's just like, what the fuck? What are these? What books? He's like,
Yeah.
it's like, what do you mean? Like, this is my story I told in The Force Awakens. You tell me I can't follow it. Like, so I understand what they're saying, but also I feel like that's something where Lucasfilm should be like, hey, this is how the story's going. Lay out a plan. Like, hey, you're telling this movie here. These are the books. We're gonna have you consult on these books, like with some of the main ideas, so we could tell this linear story. And that seems like what they're doing it in reverse order this time. They're giving the movie makers tons of content to pull from that can be linear with movies. So yeah, it's exciting, and hopefully we do get that stuff sooner rather than later, because the concept art they put out is super cool. The Nile, the Space Vikings, totally different type of villain. So much different than the Sith that we've known before. And then, just the look of the Jedi. They have these really, they have these cool new Jedi robes and just the new outfits and stuff like that, and what they look like what they wear. And then, of course, they've gone gangbusters on the lightsabers. I don't know if you've seen those. You've seen those images of the stuff they've put out for the promotional images for the High Republic and stuff like that. But there's like one shot that one of the concept artists made of like 9 or 10 Jedi standing next to each other, and they all have their lightsabers out, and each lightsaber is different from the other. and some of them have like a hilt, but not like the Kylo Ren hilt, just like a standard, like almost like a sword hilt with the blade coming out. And then some have like these really long, like natural looking hilts that like have like almost like a dagger or some like ribbon hanging off the bottom, and the blade colors are different. Like one of the blades is a double pronged blade that's white, and then another one is a all black blade, which is not the dark saber that we know from Mandalorian and from Clone Wars and from Rebels, but it's like a legit black lightsaber.
Interesting.
So there's a whole bunch of different concepts. They're like, hey, you know what, lightsabers are cool. Let's go crazy. And I actually, you know, it's kind of funny. Like I'm like 75%. That is awesome. I'm also 25%. Like this looks like something that I conceptualized when I was in grade school and was doodling in class. Like, oh, cool to be if there was a black lightsaber with like a really long, like twisty hilt, and it was like, you know, it always was like kind of ridiculous, imaginative stuff. But it seems like they're letting their imagination run away with them, and I'm actually okay with it. I'm okay with it. You know, but give us something new, you know, and make it good. That's all I care about.
Yeah, I agree. Is this the image you're talking about? Or is this a different
no.
one?
I could find.
I can.
I mean, I'm okay with that. I like to have the different looks and them have it change up a little bit, because I mean the newest series, they only really introduced one new lightsaber. Well, I guess two with Leia's at the end. Let me take a look at this real quick. But I mean, I like this because it has a little bit more variation, and you know, then they can start to dive into like the different colors and what it means for those people. So I think this may be a time where the Jedi isn't as strict, where everyone is, you know, doing the same thing and following the same beliefs. It's a little bit more where they have control of what they do in their own trainings. I mean, is that a purple lightsaber?
Yeah.
And then an orange. So I like that. Being able to include all of those and individualize them, so it's just not green and blue people who all kind of behave very similar to each other. So
yeah, no, it's yeah. There's that's the cool stuff there. Which, by the way, what I thought was the most interesting part of this whole announcement, the High Republic, this whole project was formulated off of one idea, and the idea was, what scares the Jedi? That was the question they asked, and that's what started this whole project. What scares the Jedi? And so that's what they came up with. This is so we're gonna find out. Tim, you had a great point. The Nihil, Nihil, have a very similar sounding name to Darth Nihilus.
Darth Nihilus, yep.
Who is a character from the Old Republic 2 or Knights of the Old Republic 2.
Republic 2.
And it's this cool Sith-looking character with like a white, almost, I don't know.
He has like a white mask, but like supposedly. So I haven't gotten to this part of the game yet, but supposedly he literally is like consumed so much by the dark side and the hate that his body is like dead, and the only thing that's keeping him alive is his hate and the dark side.
Really?
So he's basically like kind of like a spirit almost, but it's kind of an interesting idea. And yeah, I brought that up where I'm like, you know, I'm wondering if
it's spelled the exact same way. It's like,
I think so. The Viking Niles is Nihl, but he's Nhil. I just know that H and the I's are reversed, but I think that'd be kind of cool if they use this to introduce Nihilus as like the main villain or something. But then again, they'd be including Sith at that point.
It seems like they're wanting to do something different, but also it'd be cool to see that like the Nihil have someone they worship, and maybe Darth Nihilus is like a Sith of some kind, but he interprets the Force in a different way than just like the dark side or even the light side does, and maybe even in a more frightening way. But yeah, it's a good point. But the first book for this whole project won't even be out till August 25th. It'll be Star Wars Celebration time when the first book for this whole thing drops. I'm sure they're going to have a panel on it that we'll be able to attend. That will be really, really cool. But yeah, it's you guys go check it out. There's a trailer for it on YouTube, The High Republic, and it's you know, it just kind of goes through some of the concept images. It goes with some of the authors talking about what they're doing with it and how the idea came about. It's just all very interesting. So it's going to be a brand new foray into the Star Wars universe that we'll be sure to cover here on Force Vision as we go about it. Find topics and books that we recommend and all that. It's gonna be a good time. So, but yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's a short little episode. I don't know if we have anything to cover. What is there
Did you
anything
see
else?
Was it like 50 minutes?
Did you see this thing today about Star Wars Project Maverick leaked?
I
So-
did see that. Yeah.
I hadn't read it yet. I was
I haven't read it
going
either. I
to,
just saw it
but
on Star Wars leaks.
yeah, I didn't
Everyone's
want
like,
to.
leaks are back, baby.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Now I feel comfortable
Tanner's
reading
probably
these.
like, yes. Yes.
I feel comfortable because it's like, well, that's not spoiling anything.
Yeah,
big.
no.
Well, I guess something else. They've confirmed that they're coming out with Fallen Order 2.
Oh, really?
That's supposed to come out in, I think, 2022.
Oh, okay.
Now I think this is a rumor, but it's going to be him much I
didn't play this first one,
Yeah, Max hasn't either, but
but I hear it's good. I think I watched my brother play it a little bit.
it's incredible.
Yeah.
For anyone who still hasn't played it or still hasn't finished it yet, you need to finish it or play it. It's just a really good story because again, you get something new. It's a different character, and you get to kind of see them grow firsthand. And I mean, it's just the gameplay is really fun. Story is even better.
Yeah,
And the ending is absolutely
that's what I
fantastic.
hear.
Yeah, we'll see if I get around.
You got 2.5 years till the next one comes out, so
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see if I can do
You've
that.
got a long to-do list. Fallen Order, Clone Wars, Knights of the Old Republic.
Yeah, we'll see. But yeah, all right, guys. Well, I guess that's gonna do it for today's Force Vision. We talked about some good things. Definitely brought up cool topics that have come around. Of course, if there's more topics you want us to discuss or any ideas that you have, you can always download the Anchor app and submit a voice message to the Cinemaxtic podcast. We'll patch you right in. Your voice will be heard. It'll be like you're on a phone call with us. It's kind of cool. You can also reach us at Cinemaxtic on Instagram, CinemaxicPod on Instagram, Cinemaxtic on Twitter, and of course, listen to us where all your podcasts are heard. Be sure to share with your friends, your family, coworkers, fellow Jedi, Sith, Star Wars fans alike, and we'd be eternally grateful. That's going to do it for today's episode. Thank you guys so much for listening. As always, I'm your host, Max Leadham at Max Fozzie, for my co-host, Tim Reichmuth at Tim Trist.
Yep.
And the producer/seducer himself, Jordan Katzer, Jay Katz.
yeah.
Thank you once again for having us to your lovely apartment on these super comfy couches. And we will see you next time on the Force Vision podcast.
Later.